We do.
I agree. Like I don't go to these competitions for like positive EV, for like money or anything like that. I go there to meet the people and have a great time and chat. And it was a lot better here than, in my opinion, than when I was in New Jersey. Like it was kind of tense up there. But here I was like the top 8 people, like at least 5, 6 of us, we were still chatting about random stuff, not having any stress at all, and just trying to have a good time.
That's awesome.
Yeah, you know what's something really funny about EV is that I took a look, right? And it was like 261 players. Like if you just took the cash prize money alone, it was actually positive EV if like a winner was just drawn from a hat. And I was like, wow, that's amazing for this company to have done that.
Jason Zhang,
Sure.
How does it feel to be the champion of the Calling Singapore?
Oh,
In your own words, mate.
It is definitely the highlight of my gaming career so far, and it's been great. Not because of any of the prize or anything. It's just after that's happened, it just all my friends, like this community that we built is so great. Like all these people that I've met over the weekend, they were messaging me. They came, gave a hug. It was great. People who I met at New Jersey, they were messaging me, screaming at the top of their lungs. I think now, like I can say, like people around the world just wanted to say hello and congratulations, and that's already enough for me. I was like, I can't believe I met all these people just through this game, and just in this amount of time. It's great. Everything's so fantastic. It feels great. I just can't. It still hasn't calmed down, right? I'm still like chatting away to people. People love. I think I have to say, I think I got some interest, and people just want to keep talking about how much they saw and they were interested in why they want to do this. There's just so much interest in this game and passion.
Absolutely, mate.
In the whole community, and that's just so amazing.
Absolutely, mate. Yeah, definitely. So. Just like so you know, speaking of passion and interest in the game, how long have you been playing Flesh and Blood for?
I picked up my first deck that my friend made me. I think it's been a little bit over a year. It was before Tales of Aria got released.
Oh yeah, that's about when I got started as well. So
yeah, it must have spiked in popularity around that time. A lot of players started joining around there, and I was just one of them.
Yeah. So have you played any other TCGs before Flesh and Blood as well? You ever play Magic or Yu-Gi-Oh or Pokemon?
Yeah. Ever since I was little, I like to play a lot of probably the most popular type of TCGs. I would say the only one that I've gotten like at least reasonably good at was Magic the Gathering. But yeah, ever since I was little, I know the rules of Yu-Gi-Oh, the basic Yu-Gi-Oh and Pokemon and Hearthstone, things like that. So, but Magic's where I spent a lot of time playing when I was like a teenager up to like my 20s. And I still have my commander.
Oh yeah,
right?
Of course, right. How is the Flesh and Blood scene in Bangkok then?
Oh, the Flesh and Blood scene is quite amazing. The people here are so nice, and you know, you got your mix of people who want to go and win the armory, and they'll bring like their best deck, and then you have a big amount of people who just want to play whatever they want and have fun. I remember the last armory I went to, I brought a Talishar Valvalda. With Sultan. It was like Civ Talishar Valda, and I called it Sultan Valda because I grabbed some. I don't want to brag. I got like some gold foils, and I just want to play them no matter how bad they were. I was like, it was no rune, and I was bringing it to everything, and it was Talishar. I have a rainbow foil Talishar, which is what I brought to this calling event, and I was just like try to bring the fanciest thing. I wish I had a Fable the Grandier.
Oh yeah.
But it was not good. I did not win that one, but it was just it was.
No. That's
you might see that I like mean cards. I don't know people.
Last week I played UPF. I
really
bought Valda Flexstock deck. Basically, like I got my Fables that are in a pile here. I just slapped them all in.
Yeah, so good, right?
If it's shiny, it went in the deck.
That's exactly what happened. And that's what I brought to my armory. So the community is great here. People are extremely nice and very supportive of each other. There's plenty of events going on all throughout the city. So it's a great time. every day of the
Yeah,
week.
fantastic. Okay, so let's get on to the event. I don't know if you still remember, it must have all been like a gigantic blur for you, the weekend of the calling. But so let's start at the beginning. Day one, we had the draft at the beginning. So how did the draft go? Like, quickly, what happened?
I would say, to be honest, day one draft was the most stressful part of the event up to like the top 8. My pod ended up, which we eventually learned in pod 2. We had a pretty good pool of players. What ended up happening was the person who went 3-0, which I did not, and the 3 people that went 2-1 all went 4-0 in CC, and 4 of us made it to day 2. So it was we had a lot of great players. I think what ended up happening, I wanted to play Dromai. The only other Dromai drafter, which I learned like in the early first pack, was the player to my right. So I had to go to Icelander. And I think like 7 of us were not the happiest with our decks, except for that Dromai player. Right. So it was stressful. A lot of us were not sure if we were going to 2-1 or not. We were probably hoping to 2-1. I was very close to a 1-2 score. And to be honest, if I end up with a 1-2 score in this format, I was probably not going to be in the top 8 with my record of it would be 5-1 in CC total. That might not be good enough for top 8. So it was very close right there. We started the day, it's like we're pod 12.
Yeah.
It was like our little team now. We were like a team of pod 12.
I was on pod 1 and then pod 2, because I thought you mentioned pod 2, but pod 2 only had 7 players in it. Actually, yeah.
Right. So. Which was quite nice. Yeah, we had 7 players as well. These 3 players got buys, which is kind of nice. It felt like it was an advantage in this format. So that was kind of cool.
Well, Classic constructed on day 1. Were people blindsided by the Wombat?
Right. By Wombat, do you mean the aggressive Talishar version of it?
Wombat Dash. I think that's what the nickname is for the deck you've got.
I think I need to mention that I was really caught off guard by the term Wombat Dash. I personally actually haven't heard of that term until after the event.
Oh, okay.
So I'm assuming, I'm learning wonderful Wombat facts now, and I love memes, so I'm fully embracing it. So I'm assuming that the Wombat Dash is referring to my main deck, which is a very aggressive deck with Talishar, right?
Yes.
I would say in the classic constructed portion of day 1, I think my aggro opponents, which is 3 out of 4 of them, did not catch this off guard. I played against the Briar, and the Briar realized like by the end of turn 2, it's like I cannot race this at all, which is a little bit what I was hoping. Once they realized that it could be over already, but yeah, they couldn't race me at all unless they drew like really, really well with a Channel Mount Heroic.
Yeah, the old turn 0 Channel Mount Heroic and then slap you for 30 the next turn, right?
Yeah, I feel like that might have been like a necessary thing to race it if you wanted to trade with me, right?
Yeah. So what about the non-aggro matchup that you had then? Who was that against?
So I did pair against an Oldham, and I think this was the second to last round of this was the last round of the day. So this would have been round 7, and the Oldham player knew, like when I was playing dashes, like he was in trouble. I think he knew that I was going to go with all those pistol items that you can find on my sideboard, right? So if you're referring to that, I think this is what people are not referring to as Wombat Dash. Yeah. So my matchup against Oldham with those cards, I've never lost a game against them, so I think I'm pretty favored against Oldham, and I think he knew too.
Yeah, it's like with Dash, you assemble Exodia, don't you? Basically, once you've got all your items together.
Another it's like pistol for 20. Your shield can't block 20. Sorry.
It's fantastic. I do love it. Like it's amazing. So, I mean, you must have been like super happy at the end of day 1 with that.
I can't believe it. I can't believe it. Because usually, like, even if I'm favored, it's not. There's no guarantees. So going 4-0 is quite amazing, and it's nothing I ever want to expect. So I can't believe, it was 6-1 right at the end of day 1. So extremely happy and satisfied with that.
That's a fantastic start. So now we go to the Sunday. how was the morning draft? That I heard was a bloodbath. That was like a lot of people I knew who are very, very, strong players. They got massacred during the draft on day 2. What was it like for you?
It was definitely a stressful draft, right? Especially if you were doing well, you would be paired with people who probably 3-0'd their first draft as well, or did extremely well and then 4-0'd their classic constructed round. So everyone had really good players. I haven't practiced draft as much as I would like to admit, but I just had to feel like, if I wanted to have a really good chance of going to the top, I might have to gamble a little bit. Mm-hmm. So I had to take a bet that I feel like people, once you drafting build, people don't really like Dromai very much. So right from the start, I just picked Dromai cards, and then hopefully by like the 3rd pick, I can see if there's a Dromai card that's missing that would usually be in the pack. 'Cause they're kind of created in a specific way, so you can see if somebody recently has taken a Dromai card after a while. And I realized that no one was doing that, so I did something risky from the beginning, and it paid off. And in our 8-person pod, there was only another Dromai like 3 seats to my left, which is probably a pretty good position for me.
Yeah, that's brilliant. They're almost the opposite side of the table to you, but not in such a way that you'll have the mirror then.
but you really want, if anyone's playing the same hero as you, you probably want them on your left more than your right, because you pass to your left more often than your right.
They'll be downstream from you.
So if there was another Dromai, having them closer to your left was probably more favorable.
So your Dromai went well and you managed to 3-0 your draft pod, yeah?
I did do that, yeah.
Fantastic. So then we're on to the CC portion for day 2. So what were your matches then for CC day 2 before the top 8?
So there were just 2 rounds, and I played against the Briar, and that was my only loss in Classic Constructed. Mm-hmm. And maybe I was a little greedy because that's kind of the way I played. I had a hand that could maximum velocity and probably close it out. But that was a turn that Briar, she was able to get Channel Mount Heroic out. And then there was a few snatches that had go again, and I refused to block them. And that was a mistake. So that was my only loss in CC. The good news is it looked like at that point, my score was high enough that I think I was going to top 8 anyway if I went 0-2. So it's all right. I didn't know that at the time, and I didn't have high expectations. So I'm like, all right, I lost, and I probably deserve that, which is fine. My final match of the day was against a 5-player, and he was a great guy. He was the 5-player who went undefeated in draft and CC. Ivan Keo, right?
Ivan, yeah.
Yeah, he's a great guy, and I love his Spy deck, by the way. And I played against him. And I already know what I want to do against Spy, and I'm pretty sure I'm favored against Spy, no matter what they're playing. So
is your plan against the Spy again just to like absolutely just full Wombat dumpster, loads of damage?
I do more damage than he does.
Yeah.
So, and he can't block. My favorite thing to try to troll people when I play like against the Spy is if I start, right, I might attack, and if it's attack for 6, I'm gonna ask for 3 cards.
I was on Fi at the weekend.
I love Fi. Yeah, I had an aggro Fi and I realized all my cards block for 2 and I didn't like that anymore.
So who were you against in the quarterfinals?
We got an immediate rematch against Fi.
So this time it was a rematch and you managed to take Ivan down.
Yeah, it was very similar to the last one, so
okay.
I was expecting to be on camera, and so was he. I thought we were really just competing against Icelander. I think they wanted to pick what was interesting. And we were actually, you guys don't know this, we were actually invited to the feature table, and then they told us that they're going to switch us with the Icelander match. And they were like, okay, we're definitely secondary to them. Okay. But that's okay. We're all chill. The top 8 were all great players and very friendly. So we were laughing and having a good time.
Because in the semi-finals as well, you were against CYK Lionel. He was on his Viserai. He's a fantastic player as well.
Fantastic guy, very friendly.
And a really lovely guy as well. Yeah, he's brilliant. And the match was really thrilling to watch. And then of course we're at the final with your opening triple T-bone.
Wasn't that fun to watch? I'm gonna be honest, it wasn't like the ideal opening. But if there was an opening, that was nice to have, right? Usually when I go first, I'm really hoping to get an item, just like I did in the semifinals. But if I didn't, if I had 4 attacks, I guess that was the best set of 4 attacks to have. Almost right. People were hoping the last one was. Hope you were hoping the last one was also a T-bone. I wish it was too. It was very close. It was a 0 to 60.
That would have been like, you know, Flesh and Blood play of the century. The old quad T-bone like opening.
Couldn't go. Yeah, couldn't go more perfect, right? There was the only way to go more perfect was that 4th T-bone. But it was probably if that last card was a T-bone, it would probably just be more mean because I wouldn't have an arsenal, right?
True, but then they'd have no equipment.
But yeah, but you're naked now, so I'm like, all right.
It was brilliant, and then also just like the absolute chef's kiss at the end there, managing to swing in for lethal with the maximum velocity.
Oh yeah, I think he was expecting payload or something. He checked my banish zone. I banished 2 maximum velocities. I couldn't be running a 3rd one, right? Yeah, I am so happy that that was the last card because that's my favorite card in the whole game, right? I stayed on that. That was my first deck. And I stayed on it because I saw maximum velocity. It's like, I want 3 of this, and I want to make it work. And I'm so happy that was happening. And in both games, actually, yeah.
So why Dash then? How come you pick Dash?
Fantastic. Yeah. When I started the game, my friend George wanted to build a deck for me with his collection. He had a lot of like comments, and this is actually how a lot of us get into the game. Right, someone brings us in, and decks. This game is very affordable in my opinion, and he built me mostly common deck and some rares, right? Because they're not very expensive at all. And I just looked at the heroes and I just thought, oh, I'll pick Dash. It's a mechanologist. Maybe it'll be like Team Fortress 2. I'll build a giant turret and don't have to do anything and just watch it like win the game for me. That's what I was hoping it would do. So I stuck that. I went to my armory. I was wearing Hearten cross straps. Hope's Merchant's Hood, I remember that. I had an induction chamber. He gave me an induction chamber, and I ended up winning that event. I can't believe it. I can't remember all the details back then. I hope they weren't going easy on me, but I did end up winning. So I enjoyed that, and I can't believe it. Then I looked in the pool, and what really kept me to stay in Dash was again maximum velocity. I was like, this is the meme card that I really need to keep me. To make it work. This has to work now, and I'm going to do everything I can to make it work.
Brilliant. You must have been super happy with Everfest then when they brought out the T-bone then, which is, you know, extra free attacks, right?
T-bone. Some people tell me they don't like T-bone. It's a little bit too weak, and I'm like, all right, sure, but I can do 10 damage now more easily. For sure. And a Teklo Pounder, so helpful.
Teklo Pounder is also like an absolute house. I know one of the scariest things to face down is the Dash goes first, they go and load their pistol a bunch of times and then drop a second Pounder.
Oh and my goodness.
You're just like there with an audible sigh. Oh.
That's top tier. And unfortunately I didn't get that, but that's what I was really hoping for. That's the only reason I go first. I am hoping to find a Spark of Genius or one of my other 2 Pounders. That's why there's 3 of them in there.
So basically your main board then, the Wombat Dash, is for you to achieve the maximum velocity of a Wombat, which is 25 miles an hour, and you know, spill out a load of damage and, you know, do pull off those sick MV turns and stuff like that. That's basically the plan, isn't it? I mean, I'm really biased because I'm a one-trick Dash, but I want to feel like to say that it's not the hardest deck to pilot. Right? I mean, I see blue and I'm like, okay, so what can I do with 4 resources? That's kind of the mindset that I have, and yeah, I'm really just trying to get like maximum velocities off if I can, because it does. If you get it off, it feels so good. Yeah.
So much dopamine, and it really just probably swings the tempo in your favor.
Yeah, definitely.
Because it's too good of a rate. It's too good of a rate.
And I feel as well that with your current configuration, it's a lot more reliable, I guess, at being able to, you know, you being able to hit all your boosts and be able to, like, you know, pull off the maximum velocities as opposed to, like, if you do include some cards like, you know, like say you do like the more mid-rangey style, right, where you do put in, even in, you know, when you are doing full aggro, you put in like a Toma Fiendal, or Command and Conquer or something like that, at least you know, I mean, you're never going to fail your boost, are you?
Right.
When you're doing your aggro plan.
I have to admit something. I've never tried any type of mid-range dash in my 1 year of thing. I have played full control, like I've submitted like a 75, and then I submit something like this, which my deck is basically 2 decks, right, with a 1-card sideboard. I think that might simplify things.
Oh yeah, so actually this leads on nicely then. So because you do have the control package, you've got the unmovables in there, you've got the sync belows, and all that. So and then
and 6 pistol items.
Yeah, six pistol items, which is excellent. And then you got the what's that one of? Reinforce the line.
Reinforce the line. Yeah, that is when I was building it, I was thinking I'm really expecting to use that against the most common opponent might be just Oldhim and maybe Bravo, and I just had a slot for maybe like another unmovable, or something that helps me like block for 7 with 2 cards. And Reinforced Line can get punished in some ways, but against Guardians it might be a little bit less because it is the only card that can try to trick a Command and Conquer pummeled.
Oh right.
Because it adds the 4 block to a defending card, so it's not defending by itself. So
it doesn't.
And it's not a defense reaction.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, that's smart. Yeah.
So it was another chance for some Mimi thing happening there if I just catch you off guard. But that's pretty much it. It could be a fate we're seeing.
When you've run it though, have you ever had it? You were against a Dory, and you use the card, and then they could punish you back by routing the card that you're buffing out.
Yeah, I could get punished. That's one way to get punished. And I would run control into a Dawnblade Dorinthea.
If you knew it was a Dawnblade,
it might be a little bit less common. Yeah, if I knew it was a Dawnblade Dorinthea, I would definitely run that because Dorinthea will tend to want to go tall, just like a Guardian, and she hates defense reactions. So
you do describe your deck as well as basically being 2 decks. You've got your very control-y one, and then you've got your full boosty Wombat Dash. Do you ever have any matchups where you go like half and half? I mean, actually, you just said you don't play like the mid-range dash.
No, it's super easy. If you're scared, bring in the pistol items. If you're not, don't leave them out.
It's all Talishar.
Yeah, it's a 1-card sideboard. It's just the Visiertronic in case you need the 3rd arcane barrier.
Yeah, that's for the Islander and Kano. Yeah.
Kano, if I run into them.
Yeah, right. I do know a couple people who did bring Kanos to the...
Right. So maybe it gives me a chance there.
What do you feel, with your deck, what do you feel very confident going against, right? So, like you said, the aggro decks, you know that you can outdamage, the usual Viserai, Briar, and so on. What other matchups are there that you feel that the deck's pretty good? Like, how do you feel against, like, say, Prism or Dromine?
So just going down and like what I feel most confident about, I feel the most confident that I am extremely favored against Oldhim and probably Bravo, although I have less experience playing against Bravo, Showstopper, not star of the show, that's for sure, from New Jersey.
Get flashbacks.
I think against other aggro decks that want to try to race me, I feel like I'm slightly favored. I think with things like Maximum Velocity. I mean, Rune Blades, they have Rosetta Thorn, but I feel like a lot of them, they have to burn a card to activate Rosetta Thorn. So I do feel like I can do more damage on average. So slight favor, nothing extremely heavy. And that's probably exactly what I want, just to be slightly favored against the most popular decks. Prism, I think aggro was probably good enough for them. I have had, back in my earlier days, prisms that tried to fatigue me, and they have a lot of no blocks, but they have ways of utilizing them. And if they try to attack you, there are, I believe, 9 cards that can pop them. And I don't own any CNCs, by the way, but I still have 9 cards that can pop Phantasm. So I don't think prisms can usually race me. too well on average. They also pay a little bit extra for their first attack because they want to give it go again, so they have to pitch a yellow. So it's like everything costs 1 more for the first attack. So yeah, so I feel like I'm slightly favored against Prism as well.
Okay, but then it's like you say, like you bring in that aggro package that you're not trying to like control them down and then shoot all the Spectra of it.
Yeah.
You know, shoot all the Spectra things right, and you've got your poppers, you've got the what is it, the payloads, the throttles, and the maximum velocities to pop whatever they throw at you. I mean, I always love playing against Prism when I was playing Dash as well, because it's just like you got so many 6 attacks.
Right.
You know.
Right. Yeah, they might have to decide to just block the whole time if they think you're going aggro. But if you go pistol, like you can pop their auras for 1 resource. So it's a little bit tough for them as well.
Okay, so what matchups? I guess you didn't come across any of them during the calling weekend, but like, what matchups do you feel are like really tough then? For you in the deck.
That's kind of one thing that I kind of liked about the deck. Going into it, I thought I didn't really have any matchups where I feel like I'm an extreme underdog. The only matchups that I can think of where I'm a dog are probably the ones that I didn't practice very much against, which could be like heroes like Dromai, like you mentioned earlier. I don't have really many games with her. If I had to play against a Dromai, I'll have to just see what happens and what threats are there and try to assess it as we go along. Maybe Icelander, I also don't have experience with. And maybe now I was thinking about if Brutes were trying to fatigue me, like how would I do it? Should I just bring in? Which deck should I bring in? It's kind of cool. I have to choose between 2. If I ran into like a Rhinar, there were a lot of Rhinars at the top tables during day 1.
Yeah.
I think maybe some of them maybe had trouble in their drafts. I'm not sure. I didn't see too many later on, but they were at the top ones at the day 1, so that was pretty cool. I definitely feel like I got very, very lucky at many points in the whole event. Right. Even if I feel like confident in CC, like if something happens in the draft, I wouldn't be where I am.
Yeah, that's fair enough. So one other question. Okay, now onto some like specific cards. The Signal Jammer.
Sure.
You got your one of Signal Jammer.
I got my one of Signal Jammer. I actually added that like the night before. I was thinking, oh man, maybe that card will be fun to put in there. There actually isn't a big opportunity cost for adding in there. Like the worst case scenario is that card will stop you from getting maximum velocity off. And that can only happen if I draw 2 blues that cannot boost, like 2 items, for example. Because otherwise I would just pitch the Signal Jammer, right?
Yeah.
And the block, and the fact that it doesn't block is not really important at all. If I'm blocking, then I'm probably losing anyway. So it was kind of a free roll. I felt like it's something I could tutor with Spark of Genius, just because there's just 1 of in the deck, and it could cause trouble against a Rune Blade if I feel like they aren't going to block me and maybe they have a really strong hand, but they maybe require 2 non-attack actions. I might pull it out. If I play Spark of Genius against a Kano, they're going to have to go off before that resolves, because once they see the Signal Jammer, will be too late. They can't respond to that. So it could try to trick them up there, and so because of that, I thought there was not really a big cost of including that. That was basically the 3rd high speed impact, because there's 2 in there, blue, high speed impact blue. So I thought maybe we'll test it out. Maybe I can catch somebody, and hopefully I don't get punished for it.
Yeah, spicy. Did you end up searching for it all over the weekend? Did it put in some work?
I just played it. I did play again. I did play it once. I didn't tutor for it. Against a Viserai, and I felt like at that time it didn't really do anything.
Okay, yeah.
No worries.
It's okay.
It's usually something I pitched for first anyway.
So why the Talishar? How come you went with Talishar as opposed to?
Right. So Talishar. So it kind of goes back with the idea that I if I wanted to play a deck, I feel like I wanted to play what I felt like was the deck has to be like the best at something. That's what I kind of wanted to go for. Like if I wanted to control, I wanted like the strongest control cards in there. And if I wanted to go aggro, I want like if I want to aggro like a maniac, like I was doing, right? I might as well go full on aggro maniac. And I realized at some point that this Talishar was capable of higher damage output than maybe a pistol, right? Because now I don't want to play induction chamber anymore, because you can only start the game with one item, and if I choose the induction chamber, I just gave up the Teklo Pounder, right? So if I chose Teklo Pounder, that pistol is a 1 for 2, which is a good rate, but that's kind of the ceiling of it. And Talishar was 2 for 4, and it's not always that you get punished that it can only attack 3 times.
You hope the game's over by then, yeah?
Right. A lot of times the games are over by then, and because a lot of hands, like with maximum velocity or K-load, you don't even have the action point for Talishar anyway. So it usually lasts quite a while, if not through the whole game. Some people ask about Plasma Barrel Shot, and to be honest, I've never. If I just looked at the card and I just thought I don't think I ever want to touch this card ever, because I feel like the requirement for that Plasma Barrel Shot, because it's very similar to Talishar, right? It costs 2 resources to do damage. The nice thing about Plasma Barrel Shot is that you could load it up, like maybe on turn 0 if you go first, so that's an advantage on there. Otherwise, in order for it to deal 4 damage, the requirement is more difficult than maximum velocity, right? Because on Plasma Barrel Shot, it says that it has to be on the same chain. And in maximum velocity, it doesn't have to be on the same chain. So you have to boost 3 times, and you have to give up your Teklo Foundry card, because that will break the chain, to do something that's the same as Talishar anyway, in a lot of cases. So it didn't make a lot of sense to run that. So it was really between those two, and I thought 2 for 4. Like if I really want to do the most amount of damage possible, like that might have been the stronger choice.
Okay, so consideration. I did have one of my friends ask me quickly about High Octane. Did you ever consider having a High Octane in the deck? Yeah.
To be honest, once I stopped playing the pistol items because Teklo Pounder came out, High Octane kind of fell off for me. It didn't really fit the best role in any case. Like pre Teklo Pounder, pre Everfest, I did like having it if I was going like a crazy aggro build. And what I did was I actually started with a Plasma Purifier, which will increase the power of your pistol by 1 once per turn. And then you can High Octane for 3 or maybe 4 or maybe 5, depending on how greedy you want to go and put those in your deck. And High Octane was great over there. Right now, it didn't really fit the role because I can't use it when I want to play Talishar anyway. And if I wanted to go control with some boost cards, because this isn't a full 75 card control deck that I've run in the past. There are some times in that matchup where I'll boost because I have to leave some boost cards in there. That High Octane, if that was really for Oldhim, like it's really poor against that Rampart of the Ram's Head because you keep breaking the chain for every shot. So it wasn't going to be effective anyway. And the last reason why it wasn't going to fit well is because it's built for maximum velocity. And that card's going to slow, if not stop your maximum velocity turn if you draw it, because it's going to cost you 1 resource to cycle. So you have 1 fewer resource to boost 3 cards and then play a 2-cost maximum velocity. And that might just ruin everything. So I didn't think that it was the best place for High Octane right now.
The High Octane then becomes a liability, not being able to allow you to play basically the 3 best cards in your deck.
Right. Yeah, other people ask like Magnetic Shockwave with all those T-bones, right? But that would also be a liability for maximum velocity too, so I didn't include them this time.
Yeah.
Sometimes I have to boost a blue card, and I can't if it's Magnetic Shockwave.
And then you've already got the 3 Teklo cores and a Signal Jammer, which are also like some cards that don't boost.
Yeah, Spark of Genius is also something else. Maximum velocity, payload, another maximum velocity. There's plenty of bricks, so you have to have a reasonable amount of luck, and you don't want to put more in there if you don't have to.
How do you feel like, how do you mitigate as well if somebody like tries to cotton on, if say like another aggro deck, they decide to turn around and just go like, right, what I'm going to do, I'm going to pump the brakes and go full control, try and fatigue you out. Have you ever had people try to pull that on you?
Yeah, I think you started to see that after a while for some of my opponents, even live. A lot of them started blocking either partly into the game or right from the beginning. from the first turn. I don't think in those games people really had 4 or 5 card hands very often. Usually what I recommend you to do, and I don't know if things are going to change in the future, right? Because now people kind of know about the deck. So they can probably make a decision on what they want to do earlier. If that happens, you might want to consider, I might consider going control more often, just because it's in your sideboard and you have to they can't make a decision after they presented the deck. So they have to guess what you're going to do. But if we say that you've committed to aggro, and they decided to block, and the first thing to do is I feel like you have to smell it, and you have to see that that's what you're doing. And once you do that, you have to understand that now that deck is a resource. And because if they were just want to race you, that deck is not a resource. Your boosts are free, right? Now your deck is a resource. So now if that happens, you want to really limit your boost, and you really want to probably boost in order to, if you feel confident that you're going to push through damage and enough damage, and you might be more willing to trade away some of your life and just stop, just like mid-term, if you think they have like a poor enough hand to not really hit you hard enough back. You might just trade your life and arsenal card and have 5 cards and try again. You might want to limit using your Teklo Foundry Heart, because 2 cards is about a third of a turn. So a lot of the times I might ask, what can I do with 3 resources with a blue, instead of asking myself, what can I do with 4? I had a thing in the past where if I was running like with no silver plan, I would put 75 cards in if I think somebody is trying to fatigue me. And all the rotary rams are going to go in, over loops, pedal to the metal, all these cards that you didn't see, they're going to go in now.
If you know nothing about your opponent going forward, but they're also on Dash, what would you try and do? Like if it was the mystery mirror, what would you feel like you do?
I'm gonna be honest. I've played very few Dash mirrors at all. If it was a mystery Dash, I think I have to take a guess, because it's kind of rock paper scissors, right? There are 3 things that you could do. You could go full aggro, okay, or you can try to swap out all of your no block cards, right? Bring in a pistol, swap out all your no block cards with block 3s, because your whole deck's block 3s, and just block them out, and then they fatigue, and then you instantly win. Or you can try to bring out your pistol items, because if they have like kind of a weak deck because they swapped out all their items, then you got some pistol items. Or and if you have pistol items, then you can go on forever basically, right? Because you pitch to shoot them. So it's a spooky thought, isn't it? But I feel like it could be rock paper scissors.
Oh wow, that's some food for thought right there.
Yeah.
Okay, so
that's my prediction. Don't know what's going to happen.
Don't know, it's a mystery.
Maybe aggro's still the way.
Let's have a quick discussion about your preparation for the calling. So, how'd you practice? Who'd you practice with?
So, okay. I'm going to be honest. I think the best answer is I've been practicing Dash for my whole time playing Flesh and Blood.
Yeah.
But I do have to be honest that like the month or so leading up to the event, I got busy with life and work, and I didn't really play a lot of Flesh and Blood like at all. I learned to use Flesh and Blood Online, which is a fantastic resource to play with people. I've gotten maybe like, to be honest, like 3 or 4 classic constructed games. I played against like Katsu. I played against Fi, and I played Fi as well. But to be honest, I kind of just brought the deck I was comfortable with. That was not my first time running Talishar, and I just felt like with Starvo gone, I think maybe it's in a good spot, but it was a lot of just theory in the head, just taking a wild guess, and going with no expectations, hoping to get lucky or just have fun, because the social aspect was really the positive EV.
Yeah.
Right. So I'm gonna be honest. I wish I could say that I practiced more than I did, but I wasn't able to. But I just have the experience of all the Dash that I played in the past, because I don't switch heroes very much at all. One of the toughest things here for Flesh and Blood is just traveling to get to an event. It's a taxing event, especially if it's like on the night of a working day.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, the online stuff is great. Too bad it's not official. but I hope they get the support they need.
Who do you think's going to take down Lille? Do you think it'll be another fellow Dash going the distance, or do you think it's
Hero?
going to, Hero, or if you got any player that you think?
I love this meta is great. Wow, I can pick a hero, but I have to say I'm very unconfident that I'm gonna be correct. Like to be honest, if I say Dash, Briar, or Viserai, do you think I'll be like 50% chance of being correct, or less, or more?
I think it's reasonably likely, like the good aggro decks.
You think it'll be one of those three for sure? Like Prism's not in there.
Yeah, Prism, I'm surprised had like, there were quite a lot of Prism players, but Prism just never converted.
Yeah, I want to say if I pick three, like Briar, Viserai, and Dash, I feel like I would still have a 50% chance of being wrong.
Yeah.
So I think it's hard.
But yeah, like the meta's great. I think almost any hero is viable at the moment.
Right. If you twist my arm, I'm gonna hope to say Dash and say that you can't block her out if you play her and get a little lucky and play her correctly. Maybe probably get lucky. You
Full Wombat Dash. Full Wombat Dash with the Rainbow T-Bones.
I love my second deck. I like being able to submit 2 decks.
That's also a fair point, yeah. Because all the cards block well, isn't it? That's why you can do the hard control plan, innit?
Yeah. For that deck, like the cards that don't block pitch for 3. So, which you need for your weapon, so.
Yeah. So,
except for the pistol items themselves, but yeah.
Well, you want to play those rather than that's when you have to like take a little bit of damage to start assembling.
Exactly.
Assembling Exodia.
If you play those pistol items in against aggro for some reason, then I guess you might want to pitch them after the 3rd one or so. You don't have time for that. Yeah.
Thank you so much, mate. I think that's pretty much it.
That was a lot of fun.
Is there anybody that you want to shout out to? Right? Anybody you want to say hi to? Do you have socials as well? Are you on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok?
I am not a social media person, unfortunately, and I feel like it's very intimidating to even start a channel or a podcast. But I do like talking on it, so maybe I'm a better guest, I would say. All
the best and all that, and so thank you so much again.
No, thank you so much for inviting me. It feels good that a lot of people ask me the same questions, like why you do this. So thank you so much for helping put the content up there, and maybe I'll answer some questions. I might just redirect them to watch.
Yeah, then of course, I guess as well, like if you are watching this video, then and you do have any further questions, do pop it down in a comment, below. Yeah. Say hi. Yeah, here's what we'll do. You can invite them to ask any questions, and I'll pop by and answer if they want. Yeah, please do leave a comment. Yeah, if you can swing by, in a few days, just pop by. I'll swing by the video, and if anybody asks any interesting questions, then you can just reply to them in the YouTube comments. That would be really good, actually. And for you watching at home, please do like, subscribe, leave a comment, and all that good stuff. Thanks. Thank you so much again, Jason. It's an absolute pleasure having you. Pleasure.